Hello, hello. Come on in. Come on in the room. That's a I feel like that's a song from like a black gospel song. They be talking about come on in the room. Anyway, that ain't neither here nor there. I need some chapstick. Y'all, it's been a minute. Big props to my partner in crime, K Boogie, for holding down the family meetings. While I've been sick and trying to figure out what in the world is going on with my life and my health. Um, hey, family. Yes, Laura, we are here. Um, but thank you. Thank you to everyone who has, hey, Josie, who has prayed and who has sent notes in and cards and everything. I was sick for well, I'm yeah, for about 5 weeks. And I'm still struggling. Hey Lauren. Hey Kimberly.
It worked. It went to YouTube.
Yeah, she's over here. She's super excited. I still struggling. And I know many people wrote in and asked, did I have COVID and things like that. And it's funny because people are like, I'm sorry to ask, but I just want to know how I can pray for you. Do you have COVID? I'm like, no, I don't. I've actually been tested. I was tested for COVID and I don't have a problem talking about, COVID or things like that. Hi, Auntie Linda. I was tested for COVID and it came back negative. I was tested for antibodies to see maybe if it was like something longer lingering that the test wouldn't show. But it isn't. I had no antibodies, so it's not COVID. And went back to the doctor yesterday and we're gonna just run some more tests and in probably the next couple weeks. And so, yeah, just not really sure what is going on, why I have such body aches and just like a lingering thing and super lethargic. But I am grateful to be on the family meeting today. And so we are going to kick it off and get started. Hey, Ashley from Kentucky. Thank you for praying.
What you do is
Hey, Karen.
what you do is you could put this
See,
on the
Krista
screen.
is really let me go ahead and tell you what this is. This is Krista really liking this program that we're using
and then you can
testing
say,
out. And this is
hi,
her.
Karen.
This is
I see you.
this
And then you can
is-
say, hey, Candy, my best Canadian friend. And so
this is her really wanting to be on the family meeting.
No.
Yeah, it is.
And then you can go over here.
People are going to be upset with our shenanigans.
Oh, sorry.
What in the world? So, yeah. So anyway,
click on chat there.
That's just the update on my health. I'm in Maxine's district. I can't wait to see what you're going to say. Kelly, don't even get me started. Oh, Auntie Maxine. She is like the gift that keeps on giving. But I first want to start off with talking about this tweet that Krista actually found and brought it up to me earlier today. I like my new title, Best Canadian Friend. Yes. Let's see. I don't know how to show things. I'm gonna try and show this. Yeah, see, she's super excited to show. We're gonna hear it's this one. Don't judge me by how many tabs I have open. This is literally like my brain. They can. It's right there.
No, they won't see that part.
Okay. Well, those are all my tabs.
Is it Maxine Waters first?
No, it is the Twitter one. Try that one. Let's see. Okay, so this tweet comes from a guy named Jason Stanley. And it says, I don't think whatever residual trauma I have from the Holocaust comes from my genes. I think it comes from my mom saying things to me like, they're always going to want to kill you. And the more successful you are, the more they're going to want to try, when I was like 7. And this began a conversation of generational resentments among minorities. Let me get back here. Okay. did I stop? Oh, I did it. Yes. So it began a conversation, a Twitter thread about generational resentment, especially among minorities, and how many minorities may not actually have cause or reason for the angst or hatred, anxiety, whatever they might feel toward either a specific group of people or white people in general, but that a lot of it comes from the generational conversation. And I know that that is I feel like that's true in my case. I feel like that's true in many of the people that I talked to. It was true among some of my friends, and just hearing a lot of the stories over and over and over, just being retold about, you need to be careful for this group of people. And I haven't seen it actually put into print, or like, talked about publicly a lot. I've always kind of just thought that, well, this is just my theory, that we do ourselves a lot of harm, or we do our younger generations, and I'll just speak for, being Black, we can do a lot of generational harm to those coming up behind us when we continue to relive those stories as if they are happening today. So I'm not saying that we need to get rid of history. I'm not saying that we need to skirt truth, or, act like slavery, Jim Crow, like any lynching, that these things didn't happen. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we can put things in their proper perspective, though. We can look at, hey, look at this. Yeah, this is history, and history's rough, and every nation has its history, and this is ours, and there's that. And we can also talk about the positive shifts that we've made as a country. We can talk about the things that have worked to benefit, people of color within America. And we can also have a proper perspective of, just because this was my experience doesn't mean that this is going to be your experience. How do we uphold people in the most positive light, especially as Christians? How do I bear with one another? How do I believe the good about someone else, and raise my children to also believe the good about other people? That doesn't mean that I raise my children to be naive. That doesn't mean that I raise my children to just walk around with blinders on and, oh, every person is good. No, like they're going to be good and bad. You're going to find righteous and unrighteous. We find this in scripture. But the idea of generational trauma, I believe, is something that we need to talk more about, especially, and again, I'm just going to talk about, being Black and being raised, like for my first 15 years in inner city. What is it like for us as adults to rethink the way that we communicate with younger generations? What does it mean to reframe the conversation so that it's not just all white people are racist, all white people are bad? You're going to have to watch out for every white person, just because you never know which one is going to be the one who wants to do you in.
Which may have been true 60 years ago.
It may have been true 60 years ago. I'm not saying that at one point in history it wasn't true, but even at that point, how do I raise my children to understand that you're not what somebody may think you are? You are who you are as defined by God. And how do you walk in wisdom, but also walk in confidence, also walk knowing that you walk with the Lord? And what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to live out or to live from a scriptural perspective, not always just going around, judging or condemning someone before you even meet them, judging and condemning them just based on the color of their skin, because that's what was happening to Black people. So the conversation of generational trauma is just something that I think we need to really investigate a little bit more, and not just as Black people. I would say, if whatever your ethnic background is, what is the way that you are talking to the generations under you? Or perhaps you may be a man who had a bad experience with a woman. Now all women are bad. Well, no, how do you have other conversations with younger generations? Maybe you're a woman who had a bad experience with a man. Now all men are bad. No, we need to be holding these things in their proper perspective, so that those coming up behind us also can hold people in their proper perspective. That is my thought on that. But I think that if we were to have better conversations or different conversations in regards to people, um, people in general, like, not all people are bad. Not everyone is going to be racist. Racism doesn't exist everywhere. Um, I think that would give younger people other data in how they interact with people. Gosh, I was going to say something else and I completely lost my train of thought. But I think that the conversation of mistrust or distrust often stems from the fact that from very early on we can be taught, well, you never trust these people, or you never trust a police officer, you never trust a cop. So because a cop will shoot you, a cop will always be, your worst enemy. They're always looking to target you. Well, that isn't actually true. So how do we reframe this conversation so that we can have better dialogue between groups? Let me see. Now, the next thing that I want to bring up is,
Oh,
sorry.
no, that's not how you do it.
Okay. See, she here for me today.
All right.
Um.
So change that out.
Oh, you got a rotational system.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't aware.
All right.
Let's go to the Baltimore police officer.
All right.
Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you heard about the Black police officer. Her name was or is Kiana Hawley, if I'm not mistaken. And she was a 39-year-old Baltimore police officer. She just joined the force 2 years ago, and she was ambushed by two guys in her police car. I want to say on the 16th, maybe. Yeah, I believe it's the 16th, 15th or 16th of December. And unfortunately, she passed away from her injuries. And let me, get back to this. Goodness gracious, this is complicated, y'all. So she passed away from her injuries a few days following, maybe, I think it's under a week. But part of I think what went into, and I'm not sure, nobody knows like why she was killed or anything like that. But there were a couple things that I noticed about this shooting. One, I think the overall conversation of Blacks and police officers clashes. I mean, and I just said it, like, part of the story that we hear that cops are pigs and, don't trust 5-0 and, all of this constant conversation around policing in minority communities. Minority communities are over police. We need to defund the police. They're never out to do anything good for you. You don't need, like, never have any kind of relationship with a police officer and things like that. So when you're constantly hearing these things and the police are the bad guys, you become at war with those who were meant to protect and to serve you, or who have signed up. I'm not going to say like we're meant, but who, their job, I guess, is to protect and to serve. And so you become at war with those people. And then if you are a gang member, if you are a drug dealer, if you're doing something nefarious within the community, the police are your nemesis. Like you are at war with the police. And so when a police officer comes into that community, they are coming in to the reality that they, by some, just are not wanted, by some are the number one target. They have to always have their eyes and ears open. And unfortunately, I don't know, I don't believe she was with a partner, but it's like when you're with a partner now, it's like I gotta watch my own back, I gotta watch your back, like we need to have each other's backs, and it becomes a very stressful situation. But I believe that the part of the stressor that people don't talk about a lot is that many belief within the community struggle and suffer from community PTSD. They are struggling themselves to, and I'm just talking about, regular people, not the criminals and things like that. but there's a hypervigilance around police. No one is trusting. Everybody's kind of on edge when you see a police officer. And then you look at a police officer and they come into the community, they're on edge because they're like, oh, like, I know these people really don't like me. I know that any person could actually be carrying or have something out against me that I don't know about. And I'm just trying to get home. And so when you get two people, and I've said it before here, when you get two groups of people or even just two individuals whose main goal is to get home at night, that isn't going to work, because only one of those people are really going to get home. That when two people are determined to get home, it's going to be me or you. Well, today it ain't about to be me. It's going to have to be you. And so I think we see some of that in our communities with police officers and with community constituents, with residents there. And I wish that there was more conversation or more research done into what happens when people come into contact with the police, and when police come into contact with the community. Another thing that, well, I'll finish my thought, because I think that if we could have more conversations about, hey, look, our communities are in distress because of things like the conversations that come from the grandmothers and the mothers, and some very real aspects about poor policing. We could have better dialogue and offer better answers and solutions into proper policing. Now, another situation that this whole Kiana Holly situation made me think about was the fact that a lot, I would say a good percentage of um, police issues are happening within minority communities. It's happening within Black communities. Now, one of the things that I told Krista earlier, I said, and this is before I knew, because when the last I had heard, they hadn't found the suspects. I haven't like been deeply into this story or anything like that. But when we were driving down the street today, I said, I bet the shooters are Black. And she was like, what makes you think they Black? And I said, well, because they didn't announce the ethnicity of the shooters. I was like, if they found the shooters and they didn't announce the ethnicity, it's a good likelihood they Black. That, unfortunately, is a reality of where I think we are just within our media and within our current culture. So if it would have been a white shooter, it would have been all over the news. White guy, white woman, shoots up Black person, ambush this car. And I think if you go back over the last year and you look at when white people do something and when Black people do something, it at least to me, when I look out, I don't see them airing the ethnicity of Black people when we're shooting stuff up, or when we are committing nefarious activities. And so, sure enough, she pulled up the profile of the people, the pictures, and they were both Black. Now, I think no matter what the ethnicity of the shooters would have been, it would have been a horrible, horrible crime. But, or not even but, well, yeah. And I'm wondering what are we doing in regards to stopping the level of Black on Black crime, Black on Black violence. When one gosh, sorry, I'm trying to keep all of my, because I kind of had this in order in my thoughts. One of the things that I find extremely grotesque about BLM and supporters of BLM, or politicians who play the BLM game and things like that, is that when a white person kills a Black person, it becomes riotable offenses. But when a Black person will ambush a Black police officer, or when hundreds of people are killed on Black run, like Black politician run inner cities, it's crickets. There's nothing to be said. This woman was a mother. I believe she was a grandmother. She was, living her life, wanting to help Baltimore, from what I understand from things I've read, that was like, her city. So here she is, working at midnight. She I think her shift started in the evening because it was 1:30 when she was shot. And yet she was shot by the people who look like her. And yet those who rally and cry Black Lives Matter, they crickets. They're not here. They're not they honestly, I would be bold enough to say they could care less. And yet you get pastors, you get politicians, you get people waving the Black Lives Matter flag who want to go out and riot and do marches. There was no march for Kiana Holly. I mean, maybe I missed it. I'll be willing to say, maybe I missed the riot on her behalf because she was killed as a Black woman. Maybe I missed, the Maxine Waters, because Auntie Maxine, she'll have her nose in your business. She don't care what state she in. Auntie Maxine, she will get up there with that little twisted wig and be like, "Excuse me," and say what she has to say if it's a white person. But she won't do that for the Black people who are killed at the hands of other Black people. Y'all, it's a game. It's a game, and it's a game for money. It's a game for territory. People like Maxine Waters, and I have a clip from Auntie Maxine that I'll play in just a minute. But growing up in South Central Los Angeles, gangs were all about territory. I knew when I was walking down the street, if I'm going to walk down this street, I can't wear this color because I'm in a different territory. When I look at Maxine Waters, she ain't nothing but a gang member. It's just about territory. It's about getting money and what street I own, what's my district. But she like the Hunger Games. She don't even live in the district that she over. She just come in, drop off a check or pick up a check and make sure she gets your vote. And then what does she come in there and pimp you out with? It's all the free stuff. It's all the, I'm gonna get you welfare. I'm gonna get you childcare. I'm gonna get you clothes. She like a pimp. Just stay up here under me, and I'll make sure you taken care of. But what's she selling you for?
Let's get to the clip then.
Oh, I'm coming
Candy's
to the clip.
got a good comment.
Oh, Elaine Voss, she sent us the best card. As soon as you mentioned
Wait,
Black
click
on
on it.
Black,
Click on
sorry,
it.
click on it. Show. Sorry, I
Click on
clicked
it.
the show. It
Yes.
didn't show.
Yes.
As soon as you mentioned Black on Black violence, though, you're seen as not focusing on what really matters. But to me, that's what look. If your organization, and maybe this is just me and Candy. If your organization is called Black Lives Matter, but you only upset when a white person kill a Black person, then your organization should be called Black Lives Matter when a white person kill a Black person. Just change that. That's all I'm saying. You shouldn't be called Black Lives Matter overall. That to me is misleading. Because the reality is, for Black Lives Matter, is that their organization name should be called the Black Trans Life Matters or Black Lives Matter when Black people are killed by white people. That's the only time, because nobody is rioting in the streets over COVID mandates, over the fact that Black people are being let go of their jobs if they choose not to get vaccinated. Where is the issue of systemic racism there? Where is the issue of the fact that the Black family is about to lose? Want to talk about wealth inequality? Any wealth that we did have, well, if they firing us left and right because we choose not to get vaccinated because of our country's ugly history of medical experiments on Black people, like, who rioting then? Y'all. To me, it makes no sense. But Yeah, or Rakita says, they should be called certain Black Lives Matter. Yeah. Only the ones they pick and choose. You guys, these are just some of my thoughts. Living in Maxine Waters district, I see this often. Gang members are sorry, y'all, I'm getting a little tutorial lesson. Living in Maxine Waters district, I see this often. Gang members are always on edge when they see the police, and rightfully so. Yes. And I would say that police are also rightfully on edge. But, it's like, gosh, the conversation is it's hard to even bring up. Sorry, Chris is over here trying to fix me now. Okay, so I want to go to a clip by Auntie Maxine. She's actually, before we go to this clip, hold on. She's speaking at a church in Compton. I want to say it's like on 114. Nah, look, 114, y'all, Compton ain't never been, well, okay, before I was born, Compton used to actually be predominantly white. Slowly, Compton changed and became predominantly Black. I believe it's probably a good mix of Black and Latino right now. South Central Los Angeles, is experiencing a lot of gentrification. But like when I was growing up, South Central was like all Black with a small like Hispanic population. Then it grew into being largely Hispanic, and now I feel like gentrification's coming in, and so you're seeing more white families come in. But Compton, y'all, since I've been alive, Compton ain't never been nothing right. Like the CPT, nobody was trying to, I mean, like you would have bragging rights if you grew up on the streets of Compton, but Compton, Long Beach,
Where's your mom?
Compton, who sang that song, Compton and Long Beach together? Now what was that song? Anyway, let me stop. Let me get back on my point. Hey mom, but Compton ain't never been, the best. And now it's like, and yeah, I'm not trying to say like the whole city, like there is not no like one good block in Compton, because I actually know someone who lives like on a fairly decent street in Compton. But by and large, yes, Rahita, thank you. You like it was an inner city neighborhood. It was part of South Central Los Angeles. I mean, it kind of got bucketed into all of that. Inglewood, like always up to no good. Inglewood, see, like you just places you stayed away from. But now I think, there's this from this guy, this pastor where Maxine Waters is talking. It's like there's like this great hope for Compton now because Maxine Waters is coming back. What has Maxine Waters ever done for LA?
They're redrawing the districts.
Yeah, they're redrawing the districts. I think LA is losing, or California is losing like a congressional. Yeah, but with the redrawing of the district, it's like they have some great hope that Auntie Maxine about to come through. Auntie Maxine ain't never cared about you. She don't even live in your area. Auntie Maxine live a good half hour to 45 minutes away in a mansion. She's not laying in the hallway at night because there's no windows in the hallway while people shoot out your house. She don't hear them gunshots. Auntie Maxine is not worried about the rats. But yet, people sending her money faithfully. They going out, do her bidding, and come back and bring her a check. I'm telling you, she a pimp. Maybe I shouldn't call her a pimp, like a pimp. I don't want to be, calling names. That's wrong. All right. Okay, so this, first of all, I wonder if it's Black Christian nationalism because she had a church. But you know what? Let me not ask that question. Go ahead.
It is always an honor and a privilege to have in worship with us our champion for justice, our Congresswoman, our leader. It is always a great opportunity to have in worship with us, Congresswoman Waters. I'm going. That one right there is already sanitized, but you can work it out, Nate. Work it out. All right. Now, as she's coming, many of you know that redistricting is happening, where they are moving Congress people around. I think California is losing one congressional district. Nevertheless, as this redistricting is happening, she is regaining Watts and Compton. And so we are grateful. It's always a privilege to have public servants serving who want to serve. Amen. Because some of these other folk that we've had, they didn't really want to be here. And so let them now go to some of them districts where they want to be. Come on, Congresswoman, and talk to us for a few moments. And then our children are going to come and present unto us.
Good morning, church. Good morning, Pastor. The church looks beautiful with all the poinsettias and the queens and the kings and all of that. And I'm delighted to be here with you this morning. Giving honor to God, yes, it looks as if in redistricting I get my Watts back. And I'm delighted to be able to serve in a community that I was able to serve some years ago, where we made tremendous progress in working with Pastor. I think that we have some ideas that we would want to employ. So I'm delighted. Having said that, I just finished with MSNBC this morning, and they just informed us that Manchin, the senator who has been obstructing our ability to pass significant legislation, has just said he will not support the Build Back Better legislation that has all of the support for our communities in it. In that legislation, out of my committee, I have $170 billion for housing, for people to be able to keep up their mortgages, for people to be able to have rental assistance, to redo all of our public housing so that it's safe and secure.
First of all, y'all, Nickerson Gardens ain't never been safe and secure. Ain't nobody, you can't roll through the jungle in the housing projects in the jungle off of like Coliseum and talk about, we need to build back better to safe and secure. What you building back?
How long she been your representative?
It ain't never been safe and secure.
How long she been your representative?
I don't know, at least since the early 90s. I mean, at least, maybe more longer. But build back, we ain't okay. We ain't there. They need to. If you wanted to have a program called the Start Over, I could support that. We gonna build back. You ain't had nothing. Wasn't nothing built. They ain't built nothing since the riots. So what you building back better?
The 92 riots?
Yeah.
5
riots. We ain't had. I mean, so I'm talking about the 92 riots. Like, I can still go down to some places in LA and be like, you know what, that mess is still burned down. Still burned down. Like, what is she talking about? So now somebody's standing in her way from your free program. That's what this is about. This is about, like, look, I'm trying to do all this work so y'all not mad at me so I can get you your free program. They really trying to obstruct me. Well, what is free getting these people? What is free really getting them? Y'all, but I was offended when she walked in and said, first giving honor to God. I said, oh Lord. Now, see, I don't know if you know or not, but in the Black church, when you have a guest person or somebody get up to give announcements or something like that, they normally say first giving honor to God, and then they say like giving honor to the pastor and the first lady, giving honor to blah blah blah. You gonna give your honor. She just stopped at giving honor to God. Like, you didn't even do the whole process, y'all. I doubt she a churchgoer, but that's just my personal assessment. I feel like that's being ugly and petty. I'm not trying to, But oh, Kimba, I'm not even going. Ooh. Um, she wants to try something new after decades of failure. She's trying something new. Maybe. And I really hope that it will work. But the reality is that the people there, and I'm not just talking about like poor people. I feel like if you continue to do something over and over and over again, that could be one of the definitions of insanity. Like, you're continuing to choose someone who has never cleaned up your streets. Like, I just don't see it. Never, never, never has it ever been safe. We moved from there because living there was crazy. Yes, we moved on the day of the riots. I remember that.
That's
Like,
your mother.
mhm.
You should tell people.
That's my mama. Like, I remember moving as they were rioting down, like, what street did we live on? Normandy. And between Slauson and Gage. Yes, I remember this. But you guys, she comes in with these like grandiose ideas that, these people are standing in my way from getting you these things. And then you have pastors who come in or who partner with these politicians, and they especially, oh my goodness, I feel like in many Black churches, you'll get a pastor who will come and talk to his flock and say, well, this is what you need to be doing. You should be giving your money here. We need to be moving this way. But the congregation doesn't realize that on the back end, this pastor is receiving a little kickback. So it's not just about, hey, let's really support this person. It's about this. I'm going to wash your hand. You're going to wash mine. We're going to be in bed together, and I'll get my people to support you. That kind of reminds me of Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood. Because that was the deal. That she would come in and encourage people. You don't want to be raising your kids in poverty. You don't want to be having all these kids and da-da-da. But then on the back end, your pastor get a check. Let's finish this little clip.
They didn't hear you.
Oh.
I had your mic muted.
Okay.
All of that goes down the drain if we're not able to get Build Back Better. But it also has in it climate change legislation. You saw what just happened in Kentucky, and you see how the climate is changing all over the world. And so we need to know what we can do to prevent the destruction of our climate, how we can all participate. In addition to that, in the bill, we have this wonderful way that we're supporting elimination of poverty and our children getting the support they need to have good nutrition and proper clothing and all of that. It is the child tax credit. How many people know about the child?
Y'all need to look. I know. Ooh, what happened?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
We just
okay.
lost everything. Now I normally would not suggest, and I'm not actually suggesting this, but before I was a Christian, or while I was kind of in a sketchy area of life, there was a movie called Crud. What's the name of that movie? Oh, it's not Training Day. But the one of the songs in the movie said, well, it's hard out here for a pimp. And if y'all remember that, if you know the song, or like just put the title in the comments. Yeah, it was like, well, it's hard out there for a pimp, something like that, with something and the money getting spent, something like that. Look, let me tell you, a pimp is always going to offer you these grand ideas. Look, I'll keep you clothed. I'll keep you warm. I'll keep you fed. You never gonna have to worry about your kids. All you got to do is just hustle and flow. Yes, thank you, Rakita. Rakita, she got me. Thank you. Hustle and Flow is the name of that movie. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and watch that movie, but this is the idea of a pimp. They're constantly thinking about What do I have to do to be able to sell them to work for me? That's the reality. What did she say? I'll keep your kids, the child tax credit, clothing, keep you housed. We need to get money in there for housing so people can keep their mortgages and pay their rent by having rental vouchers or public housing. And later on in this, the pastor guy talks about Maxine like having driven through Nickerson Gardens and like all these things. Nickerson Gardens is like a Caprini Green or one of the big it's not that big, but public housing.
Just keep going.
Okay. Keep going. But that, like, this is what it is. And people don't understand that they're being played left and right. And this isn't a thing about the left versus the right. This is a thing of just simple morality and understanding that about what it means to be a human person. To be part of being a human person is that you work. Now, and I'm not talking about the disabled. I'm not talking about those, who truly can't work or things like that. But I am talking about the reality of personal responsibility. How are you responsible for yourself? What is the government's role? Biblically speaking, what is our government's role? Also, when she doesn't talk about the cost, and pimps ain't gonna tell you what it costs, what it costs to be out there on that stroll. Pimps aren't gonna tell you that. They're not gonna tell you about the piece of yourself that you got to kill every day or every night. No, nobody's gonna talk about that. Likewise, she's not talking about the inflation. She's not talking about what it's gonna cost you in the grocery store because you want all these free programs right now. She's not going to tell you that as long as you are getting these free programs and on welfare and all these things, you're not going to be able to have a savings account. You're not going to be able to have a checking account with more than a couple $100s in it. You're going to have to always submit, your bank statements. You're not going to be able to just move to any certain area as long as you're on some of these welfare programs, because not everybody accepts these welfare vouchers and things like that. And again, if you need it and like you have completely just have your own situation, I'm not here to condemn you. But what I am saying is that she's selling them mess. She's selling them a situation in which they completely are going to be enslaved to a system. And they're never going to be free from it. Let's keep going.
All right. There's a couple of comments here.
I can't actually see it. Maxine Waters has been in office since I was in elementary school and I'm almost 40. That's wild. Yes. Yes. She has had some kind of office. Since I was a child too. Maxine Waters has been in Congress for 30 years, a lifetime. And where's the fruit of her 30 years of representing the people? Not even the people. These are her people. These are people who look like her. These are people who she says are the most important. These are the people who she says are like her life's work. But yet she live among white people. Her neighbors don't look like me. And this is where like the rubber has to meet the road. If you really about it, if you really want to walk the walk and talk the talk, you're gonna be out there when the gunshot go off. I'm gonna be sitting right next to my neighbor, because that's where my life's work is. She don't sit next to them. She do a press appearance if somebody gets shot. She makes sure her wig is straight, and that's it. That's it. Like, and then she go back home. I'm pretty sure she lives probably somewhere in that Wilshire district where all the mansions are, or Beverly Hills. And then she go back home. She go back home where it's safe to throw your wig on the dresser. You can't. She is not about that life. One more. A biblically sound pastor wouldn't even have her at his church, because a pastor with solid theology is going to have a different biblical worldview than she does. I completely agree. But if I'm not going to have time to go all the way through this video, but at the end of the video, she hands him a $5,000 check.
We'll get there.
Well, I don't know if we're going to actually get there.
We'll get there. All right, let's.
child tax credit. Give them a round of applause. This is big. This is big. And people are getting monthly checks, and we want to continue that and make it permanent. In addition to that, we have so many people now where the families are absolutely in a state of stress because in some of our families we have 1 and 2 people with dementia and Alzheimer's. We need parental leave in order to help take care of our families. In addition to that, COVID-19 has caused illnesses, and even though those of us who are protected, Pastor, I have my 2 shots and my booster. And I promise you I won't go boosting unless I have to. And so I won't talk a lot more about that except to say I challenge MSNBC to put him up on the screen with a PowerPoint at each of the issues in Build Back Better and tell the American people why he's not going to support child care, why he's not going to support housing, why he's not going to support climate change. And so we're going to keep fighting. Normally, when they don't have the votes, they won't put it up. Bernie Sanders came on today. He said, put it up, let them vote it up or down. And that's what I say. Put it up and let Manchin vote it up or down. It's so unfortunate that we have the opportunity with this president, Biden, and our vice president, what was our senator, Harris, Kamala Harris, who can now absolutely create change in this country. And it is being obstructed by 2 people. And so, but you know, of course I'm upset about it, but I'm going to let God take care of that, okay? And so I wanted to be here today to wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and for us to have the strength and the courage not to let anything get us down. They talk about the new variant that's out there. We're going to lick it because we're all going to do what we need to do, and we're going to implore others to do what they need to do. And so we keep fighting and we keep struggling, and we will win. We always win. Sometimes we don't even know we have won, but we always win when we have the courage and the commitment to do so.
Okay, remember when I was talking about the generational talk? Keep fighting. We keep struggling. What are you struggling and fighting against? Like it's there's just this assumption that everybody knows what they're struggling and fighting against. But we're gonna keep struggling and we're gonna keep fighting. The devil is a lie. I'm not about to keep struggling. I can't, you can't be 40 years old and we got to keep struggling. At some point, you have to wonder, like, well, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe there's something. Is there something in me? Is there something I'm believing? Like, what is this struggle? What are we struggling against? Is it white people? White people ain't in Compton. I mean, yeah, there's some gentrification, but like, what is the struggle? But yet she sells them on a narrative that you are in a struggle. She sells them on a narrative that you are in a fight, but she never defines the struggle or the fight. And I think that a lot of times the assumption or the just common thought and belief is that, well, we are struggling and fighting against the white man. We are struggling and fighting against the systems. So she doesn't even need to define it, because leaving it open is just more of like a way for people to just fill in the blank. Now, when she talks about this state of stress, many of us are in a state of stress with our families who have dementia. Y'all got to pray for me, because I came with this woman, because my first thought was, I wish we could forget her. I'm so done. Like, I'm just done. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe also strawman the opposition. Is she struggling or trusting God? There's that.
Okay, hold on. Let's do this one.
Sorry. I liked somebody had a comment about the government.
This one is good.
Stay out of the pulpit using the church. It is disgusting. It is. Another thing, and I mentioned this earlier, but first of all, politicians should not be in the pulpit, at least not in the capacity as a politician. There's that. Oh, yes. I think it was Ken. Is it Ken's comment? I cannot find anything about the government's role in the Bible except when God tells rulers and leaders to treat the people fairly and justly within the law, which is all they have. Government has no morality. Only God does. Ergo, government cannot legislate morality. I believe his comment said government cannot legislate morality. Yeah. Which is a comment actually I just told you the other day.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, but it depends on how you define it.
Yeah. But that's actually just a comment that Krista and I have been having, like, can government legislate morality? I honestly believe that.
My opinion is all laws are legislating morality.
I think that all laws are attempts to legislate morality.
Yeah. But
we still choose how we participate with the law.
Yeah.
But I don't, yeah. Anyway, we won't go down that path. But yeah, I wanted to highlight the rhetoric. We're going to skip to the end.
Okay.
And
but I just want to say that if that kind of thing was happening in a white church, there would next day on the Gospel Coalition there would be an article about Christian nationalism.
No, there wouldn't.
Oh, yes, there would.
No, the Gospel Coalition loves it when people go into churches and they don't talk about Christian nationalism.
Are you new?
Of course. And then this is what I started out with saying is that it's a clear double standard. You can go in and pimp out a black church if you black, basically. I actually think that many people would be okay with a white person as long as they had the right wording.
If it was progressive.
Yeah, as long as it was a progressive white person or a liberal white person who goes into a church and says, you need to be building back better. We need to get you these social programs. We need to, clothe your kids and da-da-da-da-da. I think they would be pretty accepted. But there is a definite double standard because a white person can't do that. You can't go into a church and speak conservatively. You can't go into a church and speak the word of God or be a white politician and talk about whatever. They will string you up. It is what it is. Let's skip to the end.
Okay.
All
right.
Where they be given
the checks.
So very much for your leadership and for your work. And so I just drove through Nickerson Gardens on our way here to remind myself of the work that we've got to do. I'm ready. I'm up to it. Thank you very much. If you don't mind.
Well, God be praised. I just got a check for $5,000. Now, I want to mention that, but let me say something about that. Open that and tell me the date on it. 'Cause I want to show y'all something.
It's making me nervous up here. Oh my goodness, where's my glasses?
12/12.
I didn't know that he was going to do this today, and he didn't know that I was going to do this today. He just blessed me with $1,000.
So I've been talking about doing some fundraisers for some elected officials, and with COVID and all this stuff, we just don't know what times look like. But Mom is up for re-election, and they are coming after her again. Members of Congress have to run every 2 years, and it seems as if when they stop, they got to start again. And so I decided that I would write a check to support her campaign. I wrote a check, had no idea. Preachers give money, not many politicians do. I had no idea. But I gave, and look at what God did. Y'all see the principle? No, let me ask again. Do you see the principle that when you give, God does what? He give it back to you. Amen. Amen. I am so honored to stand with Congresswoman Waters and to support. But I gave, and look at what God did. Y'all see the principle? No, let me ask again. Do you see the principle that when you give, God does what? He give it back to you. Amen. Amen.
Y'all, I know it's petty, but I was trying to figure out who that one white liberal lady in the congregation messing things up. Who is she? Who is she? Trying to be a help? Y'all, I just can't. I guess every pimp come into a community with a calendar and a check. I don't know what to say. What you doing?
Nothing.
Oh,
Just turn on the chat for you.
Y'all, I'm completely done. $5,000. Now, do you think he wrote his check out of his own pocket, or do you think that he made a donation from the church, which is a nonprofit, to her stuff? Funny, the tune playing in the background. These are a few of my favorite things. I bet it is. $5,000 is a few of my favorite things too. But like, whose money is he giving? Whose money is he giving? And then the horribleness of, and this is a whole nother episode. The horribleness of the teaching that won't he do it? Look at God. When you give, he'll give back to you. Press down, running over, and shake, bless. What is it? Press down, shaking, running, shaking together, and running over into your bosom. Will he not give to you? This is why you have pastors like Creflo Dollar, who a few years ago was asking for $69 from every person so that he could buy his jet. Or why you get pastors who are like, send me your $39.99 so that I can send you this prayer cloth with my sweat on it. But yet, you know what? The congregants in that church, I can tell you, because I know you go to 114th Street in Compton. While I'm sure that he has people from every demographic, you got at least a few people in there who don't know where the next meal is coming from, who don't have lights. But yet, as long as you give, it's going to keep coming back to you, pressed down, shaking together, and running over into your bosom. Somebody in here said prosperity gospel. Who's that crook? Said my mother from the other room while the pastor was speaking. Mama know a crook. Well, I'ma go be sick now. Oh, Rachel. Yeah. It's a mess. And so, here's where we are, and we wonder why we are where we are, and yet we refuse to look inward. We refuse to look inward, and we refuse to call out these things. And when I say we, to some degree I'm talking about Christians, and to some degree I'm talking about the Black community. Like, I can't blame this ish on whiteness. Whiteness ain't made Auntie Maxine tilt her wig and come up in that church. Whiteness ain't made that man do that. Now, I'm sure that some uber sociological person will say, well, actually, whiteness, da-da-da-da-da-da, and they'll draw 1,000 lines between that and whiteness. But the reality is, y'all, we looking for scapegoats when we need to be looking within our own home to figure out what is going on within our own communities. Why has Baltimore had over 330 murders in 2021? Philadelphia is over 500, and goodness gracious, I don't know what Chicago's at. You know, and these are Black run cities. I think actually think that Philadelphia might actually have a white mayor, but I mean it at least is Democrat, you know, which is tends to be the party of my people. Like, what are we doing? And then when I look at the church and I see things like this, I'm like, where is this? Where is a pastor? Anybody who can come in and say, hey, you know, that's not right. Or we need to say, hey, you look, we tried to offer this guy some solid biblical teaching and he said no. So I'm gonna put a sign on the side of my church that say this over here, there's some heresy. This ain't right. Like he has now left the faith. He has now refused sound counsel. But we need to start being bolder and start calling a spade and being like, look, this isn't right. And stop allowing people to be siphoned off and sucked into things like that. Anyway, what did she get? A 20% return on her investment? I'm gonna leave that alone.
I think that's all.
But yeah, that is
That's it.
sorry, I was trying to see if there was anything that I missed, but my K Boogie over here said no. The Black community deeply feels that the only way to achieve justice is through the Democrats. Yes. Unfortunately, that's because many of them only know certain pieces of history. And, you know, and I think like a pimp, you know, they come in with a lot of the good stuff, you know, or the good stuff, the free stuff. And that's how many people are held by the Democratic vote, which is very unfortunate.
Okay, last comment.
Last one.
Are you ready? Right here.
Y'all need a podcast. My sister Tara. Y'all need a podcast. I could listen to y'all every time I run or clean the house. I love the family meetings. Girl, if you don't go check out all the things, go check out all the things. I'm going to send you a link as soon as we get off of here. All right, you guys, I'm over time. Oh, I do want to give you an update. Tomorrow we get the keys to our office. Yay, 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 yay. Thank you so much to everyone who gave for Giving Tuesday. We have signed a lease on an office. We actually did it, I think, on Giving Tuesday. And we are, let me read that. And we are looking forward to moving into our office on Saturday. And so next Thursday's family meeting should be, next Thursday, I'm sorry, we are not having a family meeting next Thursday. We're actually moving Krista's youngest daughter into college next Thursday. And so we are going as a family to drop her off at school, which is super exciting. But our next family meeting will be from our office. So there's that. And
you want to do this last
let me see what it says. Many times the lack of trust of other cultures makes it very easy for people of the same culture to come in and manipulate those same people. Just my perspective from my experience. I would agree. I would agree that that then people it makes them easy to manipulate people. And a lot of times you see people coming in with a heightened sense of fear. So like her comment about, always having to fight in this struggle. You're always going to be in this struggle. You're always going to be in this fight. They're always going to da. Well, it keeps it keeps people in this spiral. But that also goes back to that Twitter comment that I read earlier from the guy who said that the residual trauma came from his mom just repeating stories and telling them they're always going to want to kill you. The more successful you are, they're going to want to kill you even more. And so that's kind of what I see there. It's that And I'm sure his mother wasn't trying to be manipulative or things like that. She might have actually just been trying to save him and preserve, him and help him and things like that. But I think people do it nefariously, that they do manipulate people by saying, this story of, you have to watch out for this, you have to watch out for this. And because they look like you, the thought is, well, of course they're like me, they're going to want my best interest. But that is not always the case. Anyway, you guys, I am out of here. Please keep praying for my health, pray for Krista's health too. Pray for us as we drop Krista's daughter off at school next week. We'll be doing that next Thursday. And then if you haven't already signed up for a book club, you can do so by going to centerforbiblicalunity.com and /book clubs. Yeah, it's right there on the screen. Our book clubs begin on January 10th, and we're just going to be going through Reading While Black. Kevin Briggins is going to lead that one. It's by Esau McCaulley. And I want to put this out there. We are not saying that we agree with these books. I do believe, and Krista also believes in reading first sources so we can understand what the conversation is. So Esau McCaulley, Reading While Black, Delgado and Stefanchich, Critical Race Theory, and then Justin Giboney's book called Compassion and why am I blanking on the name?
He's the founder of the AND campaign.
He's the founder of the, yeah, I know he's the founder of the AND campaign. I was trying to think of the name. It's called Compassionate. I have it down here. I think.
Conviction.
Yeah, Compassion and Conviction. I want to say it. I know it's 2 C's. I'm sorry, I'm just blanking on it right now. But anyway, you guys, we are out of here. It is good to be with you all. Again, thank you for your prayers. We just are blessed by each one of you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.